we're going to drench some sheep. Something that here, which probably a lot of people don't realise, is what we call the water bag. Water bag is a canvas bag filled with water, and what it actually does is leak, but when it leaks, the evaporation keeps the water cool. So that's the essential part of the equipment. A rhubarb, and on the front of the rhubarb, the water bag. This is our willing helper. This is Jay the sheepdog. That's Chris's dog, who's going to help us put the cattle, or the sheep, the weaner sheep, into the sheep yards. And we're up at the sheep yards now, and here's some of the weaners, and they have to be pushed in the yard, then pushed into a race, which we're going to do now. These sheep here are called the weaners, which are very young sheep, probably about up to 6 months old, just over lamb's age, and they have worms. Now this is Jay working the sheep.
Jay, where are you going? Come out of it.
I'm pushing the sheep into the yards here. And Chris hasn't even sworn at her yet. The weaners are put in this long race here, and then Chris now is just going to get in and drench them. Each sheep is given a certain amount of drench, which will kill the worms in it. And that's the process. Finished drenching these sheep, these little weaners, and Chris has just brought them up on the road, and we're taking them down to a new paddock, or a fresh paddock just down near the big house. And they'll be a lot happier within a couple of days. Chris's yellow Land Rover or Land Cruiser behind, he's pushing the sheep towards me, and they come through a gate just next to the big house here. Through into this paddock. Here they are coming up close to the gate. Unfortunately with sheep, to walk them 4 miles, they actually walk about 7 or 8 because they walk backwards and forwards. They don't realise that they still have to go there, but they seem to walk more distance than they have to. But if a sheep had more brains, it wouldn't be a sheep. Now, hopefully, no, you're going the wrong way. Go the other way. The dog will probably bring them back. But that sheep, there's 2 gates. One's closed and one's open. And they want to go for the one that's closed. Now, that's what you call a real mob of sheep. One saw the gate. And that's all it takes. One to find the gate, and they're all going to go through, no problem at all. This is a good indication here. They haven't run very far into the paddock, and they're straight down to eating, which means it's nice fresh grass for them. Well, it's dry grass, but it's fresh and clean, and they will certainly do well on this paddock compared to where they have been before. Okay, this is Jay again, and she's quite happy. She's finished her day's work, and she'll be going back to Chris's place tonight. But she's a happy little dog, this one, and it's a red cloud. We move stock along the road. It's by law, but also it's a good advice for other people that we just have one vehicle down the other end of the roadway, and with the flashing lights on them, it's just to let people know that we have stock on the road. Just a courtesy. When I said I was putting the cattle or the sheep around the house, I wasn't really joking, because here they are, right next to the back door, right next to the swimming pool. I'm standing in a stubble paddock which had a crop in it, and the crop's been taken off, and I'm mustering a mob of weaner wethers, and they've split into 3 different flocks under the shade of the trees. There's one small flock or group just down here. There's another mob under these trees here, and there's another mob in the paddock here somewhere, but they're there. That's them there. And what I'm going to do is push the 3 mobs together and then push them slowly towards the sheep yards, which are up in that direction there. This is the first mob I'm collecting, and I'll push them up through the gate in a minute to join up with the other mobs. Just like a good mob of sheep, one goes through the gate and the rest are all following. So what I've done now, I've pushed the 3 little mobs together, a little bit spread out at the moment, but I'm taking the video. I'll push them a little bit tighter together and head them down through those trees there to the gate out of this paddock, and then into the next paddock. I've now got the weaners into the other corner of the same paddock and just going towards the gate here, and hopefully, being beautiful dumb sheep, they'll just go through the gate again. There they go, through the gate. These ones here will turn around and go back hopefully, if not I can just push them through. But sheep are relatively easy to move, as long as you don't try and push them too quickly. They're turning around and going back too. Keep on going down the road, sheep. Come out of the stubble paddock, no problem at all. And then I'm pushing them through the cow paddock at the moment. Sometimes you have a problem with the cows will go and chase the sheep. And now I'm going to just gradually, slowly just push them up towards the yards. They're moving very well actually. The sheep have been moving very, very well, and we're just about there now. All I have to do now is push them through a gate in the corner here. If I can find it with the viewfinder, and then it's the yards just up ahead of me, probably another, only a quarter of a mile. Same procedure going through gates again. I'll just push them right up to the gate and just let them mill around, and they just find their own way out. They are. Right on cue, they've gone out through the gate. And a cloud of dust. Seeing we're nearly up to the sheep yards now, I've just let them stop, get under the shade of a tree for a little while, and even have a little bit of a pick in the long paddock, and that's what the roadway is called, the long paddock. And from there it's only just a hop, step and a jump up to the sheep yards. Up there. Well, there we are, all done. I'll either leave them in this yard here or in this section, or put them in the sheep yards themselves, and they'll be drenched in the morning like the other weaners were this morning. Not a problem. I'm sitting in the truck at the moment, waiting to line up to register for a clearing sale. This will be quite an interesting procedure. This is what they call a clearing sale. The sheep and other livestock are selling separately, but this here is when a farm's sold. All the produce and machinery and all those types of things are put out on the paddock here and auctioned off. And it's quite an interesting afternoon. And all these people are just looking at all the equipment, and I'll be looking myself, see if there's anything that I want, and then bid for it when it comes up for auction. And the auctioneer just walks up and down these lines of all the merchandise and sells them off. There's even a portable windmill for sale. This is all the farm machinery section. Tractors, trailers, scarifiers, ploughs, trucks. There's people everywhere. Quite a popular entertainment. This is where the entertainment area is. This is where the ladies are, probably the CWA, are serving cool drinks, lunch, and it's a bit of a meeting place. The ladies are working, serving the men. There's no beer here by the look of it. But it's also a social event. These are the sheep pens. These sheep are going to be sold or auctioned very soon. About 8,000 sheep are going to be sold. This is a bit of Aussie ingenuity. This is a portable windmill on a 20-foot tower, and the framework is just an old plough or an old scarifier. So you can pump one bore or well and then move the whole windmill to some other section. If the well runs dry, you just move on. Sales is they put one good item in with a lot of other junk. So if you want the good item, you have to buy the whole lot and take the whole lot home with you. So normally they spice or sweeten each little heap with something that's worthwhile, and the rest is just probably just pure junk. Here I found an old Chevy truck. Who knows if it goes? When it goes up for auction, they'll probably say if it goes or not. But I doubt very much that it does. Depending on the price, this may be a good item to buy. A washing machine. Interesting to see how much this goes for. This is a 5 kVA lighting plant, which is very handy. The one that we've got is a 2.5 kVA. This is twice the size. Interesting to see how much this goes for too. This piece of machinery is a self-propelled header. This is the comb, or the cutting section that goes on the front of the machine, and that's towed separately, and then this is the whole machine itself. So that will be a very big pricey item. Quite another pricey item too. It's a big tractor. So obviously this farm has some pretty big acreages to do. It's a more conventional sized tractor. And that's another interesting point with all the license plates. WL is Williams, and each shire have their own 2 or 3 letters that go in front of the license plate, so you know from what shire a particular vehicle is from on the road. General footwear here is either elastic-sided boots, thongs, or bare feet. Doesn't seem to be anything in between. There's another truck with Williams plates on it. This could be another little interesting piece of equipment. It's a sheep feeder. You put the oats in the back of that, drive around the paddock, and then pull the string and it feeds the sheep. I'll be interested to see what price this goes for too. If it goes cheap enough, I'll probably put it in a bid myself, but I've got no idea what the price or what the value of it is. This piece of equipment is a fold-out scarifier. Probably does about 40 or 50 foot in one foul swoop, which you probably use that huge big tractor to do. You get through the gates, then these sections just fold out. So it's a ginormous machine. The one behind me is just the normal size. This is just the normal size scarifier, so you can see the difference between the small one here in comparison with the huge one. What this is just the parking area, so you can get an idea how many people are here. And I have to try and remember the license plate because most of these vehicles are all the same. White, Toyota, Land Cruisers. Going back to America, so this is the local police force. They've come out here just to make sure everything goes to plan. The brown uniform saves the dust. And the gentleman just said anybody who's socially untidy will be picked up too. And this is their little pickup truck with this red and white light on the top, red and blue, sorry. And they're called a paddy wagon. Who becomes socially inept or trouble ends up in the back of this. Even shed at the moment, we've got pole Dorset rams here for sale. Fun, you can. And merino rams. I've just sold some of the sheep, these ones down here, and here all the buyers are just moving up to the next mobs of sheep to be sold, and hopefully I can get some shots of the actual auction. Okay, this will be interesting. I'm behind the auctioneer. That's the auctioneer in front of me here, and they're the callers or criers.
We've got 282 in total. The majority are rising 4-year-olds, but there is 23. I have had the opportunity to hold on to them. Righto, there's the single Sean, and there's the three. Good, you go gentlemen, your value there, 282 in number 1, number 7. Good, you go your value there, I thought they should make coming that hard. Around that $30, you call it 28. Wait, $28, 28 at 8, 28, gonna be 7. Wait, 7, 27, 145, 25, they're gonna make that. Wait, $5, 24 at 5, 25, they've got the pole Dorset in them. Wait, $5, 25 at 5, 25, you call it 3. Wait, $3, 20 for the 3, 23. Wait, $3, 20 for the 3, where's my 2? There. Herbert, 22 over a bit, 22 over a bit, 22 over now, 22 with 2, with 2, with 2, way out on the left. Herbert, 22 over a bit, 22 over a bit, 22, 20, 40, 60. Herbert, 22, 80 over a bit, 3 the money, over 23 over a bit, 20, over 23, 20, 40. 60 over 23, 60, 80 over 23, 80 for the money, over 24 over a bit, 24 now. Herbert, 24, 20 over 24, 20 over a bit, 40. Herbert, 24, 40 over a bit, 24, 40 over a bit, 24, 40. You're out in front, 60, 80 over 26, 24, 80 over 25, 20. Herbert, 25, 20 over a bit, 25, 20, wings around. Herbert, 25, 40, the money, over 25, 40, 60. Herbert, 25, 60, 80 over 25, 80 over a bit, 25, 80 now. Herbert, 25, 86, the money, over 26 over a bit, 20. Herbert, 26, 20 over a bit, 26, 20 over a bit, 26, 20 now. Herbert, 26, 20, this way out. Herbert, 26, 20 over a bit, 26, 20. Herbert, the money out, 29. Right.
They're sold. Sheep have all been sold, and now they're onto the thundery, and then they go onto the machinery. And this is the people just coming. Cost a lot of money. There's such a crowd of people around each little treasure trove or each group of junk with a treasure in it. There's probably not much idea of filming. I probably won't get in close enough anyway. I'm right next to the washing machine here, and if it's a good price I'll put in a bid for it. Also happens with the sun, as soon as they're sold, whoever buys them takes the goodies out or the real specials out and goes up and pays for it. Otherwise, walking down the line, someone else would pick up the goodies from their selection even before they've actually been paid for, so they come back and their goodies are gone.
10 now, 15. Herbert 15 over, Brander off, 20 beat up at 5 in front. Herbert 25 over a bit, 25, 30, the money up at 30, over a bit, 30, over a bit, 30 now. Herbert the money at 30, straight. 321 at 30. Next one away there, you'll be there, around that $50, 40, 40, 30. Herbert 30 up at 30, over a bit, 30, over a bit, 30 now, but 30, 31, 25, bit 75, can I lip raise, 80. Herbert 80, over a bit, 80, over a bit, 80 now against you, sir. 5. Herbert 85, bit 8.
Well, the sale's still going on, and I put in a bid of 110 for the washing machine, and it is mine. These little baby beef, it's going to be loaded up on the truck. We've got a double-decker semi-trailer just turning around up the driveway, and they'll probably take about 80 calves or on the calves and heifers on this. Here he comes now. Just backing up his semi to the loading race here, and then we'll load them. The truck driver, rubber boots on, and a potter. Up they go. And on the top deck. This is the next lot to go. We'll probably get about 80 to 85 baby beef on the truck. And these have been separated off and waiting for the truck to come. And that's some of the mothers. They're a little bit distraught. The babies are going today. It's just on dusk, and I just drove past this paddock, and I thought this would be an interesting one to take of just the number of cattle that are grazing in just one small area. Wall-to-wall feeding cattle. All's reasonably quiet now. The mothers are starting to settle down and get over the loss of their little babies. And there's still a few bellows in the background. Seem all very peaceful and quiet. That little fellow will go on the next truck. Unfortunately, I disturbed this mob of sheep here. I was trying to get the same idea of just this is the grazing time of night, just before dusk. It's cooler. There's about 700 sheep in this paddock. Very quiet. Just about feels like probably a storm or some weather. It might be a bit inclement coming up. A few clouds around. Just a shot of the weaner paddock. And they're doing the same thing. They're spread out everywhere, just feeding just before it's dark. The skies are very leaden at the moment. Looks like it's going to rain, and it's just on sunset. Well, we're shearing tomorrow. This mob of sheep, there's 1,000 ewes in here, heavy in lamb, and Kevin and his son Jason and his wife, well, Jason's wife Larissa, are coming out today on their horses. So we're getting 3 horses to bring in 1,000 sheep. Bit overkill. That'll be fun. This is the way mustering was done 100 years ago. That's the second horseman. And we've got a third horseman here somewhere. We've lost him for the moment. That's Jason just checking his saddle. And panning back. Should pick up the other horses. That's Larissa. The sheep. And there's Kevin on the top of the hill there with his Akuba on. In the old droving days, this is the way they would have been mustered. You'd have one on the wing, and you'd have somebody with a neck chief round to stop the dust, pushing the herd or the flock, and then you'd have somebody on the other wing, and they'd move them probably hundreds up to thousands of miles. So you've got 1, 2, and we've lost him 3. There we go, it's all over bar the shouting. The sheep are now in a laneway which they'll just walk their way down or run their way down by the look of it. Kevin's got his stock whip out, he really needs that at the moment. That's Jason here. And Kevin with his stock whip somewhere. But that's it. There's Kevin with his stock whip. Larissa. And Jason. That took a whole full 10 minutes. We'll be coming down this laneway. The laneway runs right through this particular area. It's about 1,000 acres. So every paddock just runs into this laneway. The sheep will come down the race here, or the laneway, onto the road here, and then into the yards behind me. The truck's on the side of the road, and as I said before, with the lights flashing, just to warn any people coming along the road that we have stock on the road. Yeah, the sheep come down the race. It's not really hard to bring sheep down these races once they're in, all these laneways. And we've got 3 intrepid horsemen pushing them down the hill here. So we've got 2 in the raceway, and one of the others is in the other paddock. So when they go down the roadway, they can be turned into the yards. So it's 3 intrepid horse people or persons for sexual equality's sake. These poor old sheep have probably haven't seen as many horses and people in their whole life, let alone being mustered by them. It's my job to turn them down the hill. And then one of the other horsemen, Jason I think it is, will turn them into the race, into the yard. A 1,000 head of sheep. They're looking a little bit bewildered. They don't want to come out the gate at the moment. But that's okay, they can get a bit of a breather. Finally found the gate, and they're just coming out nice and gently. And here we've got the man from Snowy River. He hasn't got Rossi boots on, but he's got his Akuba hat on. Well, here's a man from Snowy River. You got any comments to make?
You're wearing a Cobra hat, you don't lose it when you're mustering sheep.
Larissa on her horse, and we've got Jason in the paddock there, just to turn them into the paddock, into the yard. Now they're heading up the laneway into the yards. What we started shearing, this is the second run for the day. There's 4 runs of 2 hours each, so it's an 8-hour day. We've got 4 shearers, and on the first run they did 150 sheep, so they're doing about 600 sheep between the 4 of them in the day. They've all got back braces on. David just finishing off one of the sheep. He's on what they call the whipping side. fleece is all coming off in one piece, except for the belly. The belly's taken off first. And here's the wool being picked up and put on the fastening table. And this is Lorette. She's the lady wool classer. She goes through and takes up all the sweaty wool around the edge. And the other roustabout or shed hand is on the other side doing the same thing. The fleece is then rolled, and then she plasters it with what particular class it goes into. And rolled. That's going straight into the wool press, so that would be a 3 AM, which is the top line. These particular pens here are called the catching pens. These are the ones that the shearers come in here and catch the sheep and pull them out on the shearing board, shear them. And then when they're shorn, they go out into the pen behind. It's called the counting out pen. And the shed is always kept full of sheep, pretty well full, because sheep get cool. If they're outside, they get too hot. And they're all just patiently waiting to get shorn. Now I go through the whole process. Basically finish one sheep, catch another sheep, pulling it out on the board. And this time I'll film the whole process. Now the belly wool is taken off. And then the points are done, which is the leg, back leg. Then the head and the neck. Now it's coming on the whipping side again. So the whole process probably only takes about a minute, maybe 2 minutes to do the whole thing. And that piece comes up in one piece. Now the roustabout will hold that up. There's one piece going off. Another roustabout will pick this piece up, this piece, and put on here because there's too much wool on the wool table at the moment. This is the wool press. It's in 2 halves. The wool is put in there and it's packed in by hand or by foot in this process. And then when it gets full enough, the head bale is pulled across and winched down and compressed. We've got about 3 bales out at the moment, and we should get about 30 bales out of the whole clip. So 1,000 sheep should produce about 30 bales. Now this is the top line going into the skins again. Strong legs out of doing this. It's like pressing grapes. So we've got 2 bales out already. And that's our brand on it. Hotham Downs. 3 AM is the top line of wool. And the number there, number 3 bales. And the sheepdog here, which is down the corner, is the pending up sheepdog. to help send the sheep into the counting out in the catching zone. And this is the poor old sheep at the end of the shearing process. They're nice and white and clean, obviously, because the fleece has been taken off and looking a little bit forlorn. I don't know really what's happened to them. These are ewes which are heavily in lamb, so they'll be lambing very soon. And these sheep will be drenched and then go back into a paddock, and the next thing they have to do, unfortunately for them, is have a lamb. This is just a view of the more sheep just in the holding pens behind the shearing process, just patiently waiting to be shorn. This pile of wool that's starting to mount up here is just what they call the belly wool. The wool that comes off the belly is very short and has prickles in it and not very good quality, so that'll go in a separate section. Just pushing the sheep around so they're coming up closer towards the shearing section. This is Jess, this is Rod's sheepdog. She's got 6 pups at the moment and she's helping out for today. She's a good race dog and she gets them up the race and gets them packed in. Rod doesn't have to do anything at all. Ewes, as I said before, are going to be drenched for worms, which Rod is doing at the moment. Then the next process will be for a spray on their back for lice, which is mainly just a protection type of thing, because there's no lice on the property that I'm aware of. The process that Rod's doing is a spray down their back. It's a chemical which will go through the system and will kill any lice that are there, and in this case it's just a preventative measure. Very quick process, a lot quicker than the old-fashioned dip or plunge dip which we used to use, and less stressful on the sheep too. Now this is Jess unloading the race. She'll go backwards and forwards up and down the race. She knows where the sheep have to come from and she'll push them out of the race. She's only trotting along because she's got 6 pups to look after. Now this is Jess now working with Rod. Her job now is to push the sheep up into the race. And there she goes. She'll go right up the front, horse and back. She's getting tired. This is the lunchtime break, an hour's break. Keep on talking. There's Rod, Lorette. Shearer, where's the pommy rouseabout? Where's the pommy jackaroo?
What's old Darcy doing then? What's he doing? He's giving up shearing.
Here's Tommy the pommy jackaroo. Tommy the pommy jackaroo and Dave, where are you? And here's the contractor, David. You got anything to say?
No.
Yeah, this is the shearing break, 1 hour break. Here's all the back braces. Sheep don't have lunch, they're just waiting for the next run. Cockatoos are way back from me. I can't get a good view of them. They're called Bowden's cockies, or cockatoos. They're a very big bird, probably about as big as a chicken. They're just about jet black, make a horrible screeching noise, and they've got some red feathers in their tail when they fly. They're quite beautiful when they're flying. They're very destructive and make a hell of a squawking noise. They're coming down to the water trough here for a drink. They're here somewhere. They've got a very big beak on them. They could cut a branch off quite easily. This one will fly. You can probably see his tail feathers. Yeah, he's going to stay there. These are the shorn sheep that got to come off shears just last night, and I let them come up into this laneway here to sit on the trees this morning, and I'm now just collecting them, just pushing them the other laneway, and they'll walk by themselves up to their own paddock, and I'll just come along behind slowly, see if there's any sick ones to pick up. But they know where to go now, they know the lane. That's how easy it is to make laneways, make the mustering and bringing of the stock. Sheep are just wandering along here at their own rate. They're not being pushed at all, and I'm just following up behind, just making sure they all keep together and just picking up anything or any sheep that's sick, but no sheep have been falling, and they're just plodding along at their own rate. I've brought the mob of sheep into their old paddock, and I don't have to push them under the water. They know exactly where their dam is, and they're just strung out now, virtually on the gallop to go and have a drink of water. It's about, getting close to 100 degrees now, so they'll really cherish a drink. I won't go near the dam itself because I'll scare them off the water and they won't drink. It's a good big dam, it's just about pure fresh water, so I'll enjoy that. Well, they're just finished shearing, and it's now the shed hand and the rouseabouts and the wool plaster and the presser's job to get all the wool away. Lorette's laughing in the background there. We've got 24 bales out so far. There's one still on the press, so we should end up with about 30 bales altogether. We've got them stacked here and on a trailer outside. All these piles of wool have to be left right to the end so they can put them together to make up a bale. We got a new presser's mate, Emma, who's helping the presser. She reckons this is the first and last time she's going to get up there and do this. Shearing's over, and this is the last mob. I just pushed into the laneway, and they're going back to their paddock again. So it's all over. It's an unusual shot. I've just taken this little bit of film here, just moving the sheep along the road or down the laneway, and radio going, and through the front of the truck with the engine going, so it's going to be nice and noisy. The pink colour in the sheep now, I feel it's probably sunburn, and because of the hot weather and off shears, they've got no protection. So I've allowed them to go into the trees, and that will stop obvious part of the sunburn, hopefully. This is another shot of the Bowden's cockies. They're coming in for water from this trough. Why they could drink from this trough, I don't know. Look like those dipping birds. Have to really stretch down to get a drink of water out of this trough. I've got the 28s in, the grass parrots or whatever parrots they are, coming in today. It's supposed to be 41 today, so they're probably getting a bath before it gets too hot. Got a clothesline full of cockies. About 4:30 in the afternoon. It's been about 41 today. A completely cloudless sky. Now this cloud that I'm taking a film of now is a heat cloud from a fire about 30 miles north of us. And that's about where the start of it is. And this cloud is just the heat and the smoke, and the heat rising just creates this huge big cloud. And other than that, it's a perfectly clear blue sky. We've just loaded the wool ready to go to Fremantle, right near Perth. 31 bales on there. Doesn't look that many because we've gone 1, 2, 3, 4 high. That's from 1,000 sheep. And you probably notice in the background it's actually cloudy. It actually rained last night and we're due for some more rain today. So it does rain here occasionally. Quiet leaden skies ready to rain. We're just getting 600 sheep delivered. What they call a beef train. It's big. Yeah, today we're out at the Worsley alumina mine. And these two here, the back one's a little haul pack. This front one's here, a little front end loader.
Yeah, haul packs. 70 tonnes sitting there empty, and it's 85 tonne that they put on it.
Right, that's only a little dodgy one.
This is a face. It's a good profile of what's actually mined here. the top soil, this gravel, is removed and stored to one side. The hard cap that you can see blasted is next. That's usually lower profile. The good bauxite comes down in the second down. You'll see it comes down to a yellow hinge there. That's usually the highest bauxite deposit, and then you get the lower bauxite underneath, the yellowy stuff. So that'll go into the pay base, and that's as deep as they go, and they don't have any pay in it. So they won't mix with the water and the fluids in the processing. And the only difference anywhere on this mine site to this actual face is the depth, but it's all in exactly the same pattern. You get the hard cap, the good bauxite, and the lower grade bauxite at the bottom. It does matter.
Kevin was just saying this is the primary crusher here, and it breaks the rocks down to about 8 inches. Is that right, Whitmore?
Yeah.
And then behind that is a secondary crusher, and that breaks it down to more finer so they can put it on the conveyor belt.
Inch breaks it down to.
2 inch. Then we're just going down to have a look at the conveyor belt. Everything's closed today on the weekend, Sunday.
Maintenance day.
Maintenance day, yep. This is the start of the conveyor belt. The conveyor belt goes down to the coast, 30 miles long. It's got, what, one bend in it, hasn't it?
One bend.
Yeah. Goes over the hill
20 miles.
far away.
Got one bend that's 20 miles. It goes straight to 20 miles. Bend, and then 11 miles, 10 miles.
And it's stored down the coast and then goes on ships to the US.
No, it's turned into alumina before it goes into the ship.
Okay. And then it goes to the US and South America.
Right.
South Africa.
Basically, I hope. That belt line, at this present stage, 2,300 tonne an hour, going up to 2,800 tonne an hour.
This is the secondary crusher, which crushes it down to about 1 inch, and it's conveyed into the storage area here before it goes onto the belt. And that's the raw bauxite here before it goes down to the coast to be made into alumina and then onto the ships overseas. So it's just gravel rock. That's the actual mine where they're mining from now. And what they do, they mine an area and then rehabilitate it. So this view here is of the Boddington area, but this is the actual mine, and they go in, take the topsoil off, get the bauxite out, and then when the bauxite's finished, they put the topsoil back in, plant trees, and nobody ever knows they've been there.
Probably gone for dinner.
Like a lady dressed in red.
Yeah, safety shirts on.
Vehicle we're going around in is the emergency services vehicle. It's got flashing lights and red lights and you name it, everything on it. This is the rehabilitation area where they've rehabilitated the fact they've pushed all the benches down, and then they level it off, put the topsoil back on, and here they've even put the stumps and rocks and things back so animals can come back and be rehabilitated. So they get it back to just about natural dirt and natural vegetation. Going.
Yeah, that's the biggest dozer in the world. They don't make them any bigger than that. That's Komatsu 575, about 1,200 horsepower, 135 tonne wet. That's fuel, oil and everything ready to go. We use approximately 45 gallons of diesel an hour on an average. It's going to go up to about, when it's doing what it's doing now, it's continuous hard ripping like that. That's back to what the normal was like. Yeah, they have that.
Today I'm going around calf marking, and here's a mother that's just had a little calf. And I will attempt to catch the calf and mark it. I couldn't show you the process of calf marking because I was doing it and I couldn't film at the same time, but this little calf's a little heifer. And it's now earmarked and ear tagged. And this calf is probably only a couple of hours old. The cow is halfway through calving. The water's broken and the feet are out, and I'll come back and check her in 20 minutes to make sure she's okay. The area of this particular paddock where the sun was just shining, it's early morning, is like a nursery area. It's all the mothers who have already had their calves. Bring them and they seem to go in a group on their own. The ones that haven't calved as yet seem to stick on their own. So most of the cows in this little area have got calves at foot. And this particular area, there's no new ones, so all they've got their little red tags on. Makes it easier for me to know which ones have been marked and which ones haven't been. The same paddock, the same mob. I'm just going up to check those calves up in the hill there. Just to give you an idea of the size of the paddock. This here is still all the one paddock. And having a guess, I suppose this paddock's 300 to 400 acres. Distance there's 2 cows looking after 4 calves. There's some unwritten law with cattle that they have babysitting. Just in this little area here, must be a little nursery. The cows have been told to stay there mentally while the mothers go off and feed, and they will stay there until the mother comes back and collects them. Looks like it could be a new calf. I'm just deciding to drive up to it. But that's how you find them in the paddock. Mother's lying down or next to them in this little black bundle. By the time I drive up there, I'll know, I'll be able to see the tag if it's been tagged or not. It was a new calf. Mother's a very quiet one, that's why I've decided to take a photo of both of them. A lot of times the cows will try and attack me, and I've got her ear tag and the new ear tag on the calf. This calf's probably only about 4 or 5 hours old. The afterbirth is still with the mother, and she'll pass that. And it's a very good, strong little heifer calf. I checked half an hour ago. She has since had her calf. And the calf is up and walking, and it's still wet. A good, strong little calf too. She's still wet. Mum's a little bit upset with me. I can understand why. What a birthday present to get an ear tag in the area.